Long ago, in the land of Persia, there lived a young Jewish woman named Esther. She was beautiful, kind, and full of wisdom. She lived with her cousin Mordecai, who had raised her as his own daughter after her parents died. Little did Esther know, God had a great plan for her life, one that would save her people from destruction. During that time, King Xerxes ruled over Persia. He was a powerful king, but one day he became angry with his queen and banished her from the palace. Seeking a new queen, he ordered a great search across the kingdom, gathering the most beautiful young women to be brought before him. Among them was Esther. Before she went to the palace, Mordecai advised Esther not to reveal that she was Jewish. She obeyed, trusting in his wisdom. Esther found favor with the king, and he chose her to be his new queen, placing a royal crown upon her head. Meanwhile, Mordecai uncovered a plot to assassinate the king. He reported it, and the conspirators were caught and executed. His good deed was recorded in the royal records, though no reward was given at the time. Now, in the king's court, there was a wicked man named Haman. He was a high official, and the king had commanded everyone to bow before him. But Mordecai refused, for he would bow to no one but God. Haman was furious and plotted to destroy not only Mordecai, but all the Jews in Persia. He deceived the king into issuing a decree that on a certain day, all Jews in the kingdom would be killed. When Mordecai heard of the decree, he tore his clothes in sorrow and sent a message to Esther. Do not think that because you are in the palace, you will escape. If you remain silent, help will come from another place, but you and your family will perish. Who knows? Perhaps you have been made queen for such a time as this. Esther was afraid. Approaching the king without being summoned was punishable by death, unless the king extended his golden scepter. But she knew she had to act. She fasted for 3 days along with all the Jews in the city. Then, dressed in her royal robes, she went before the king. As she entered, the king saw her and was pleased. He extended his golden scepter, sparing her life. What is your request, my queen? Even up to half the kingdom, it will be given to you. Esther invited the king and Haman to a banquet. At the feast, the king asked again what she desired. But instead of revealing her request, she invited them to another banquet the next day. That night, Haman, still enraged at Mordecai, built a gallows to have him executed. That same night, the king was unable to sleep. He asked for the royal records to be read to him and discovered that Mordecai had saved his life but had never been rewarded. The next morning, Haman arrived, planning to ask for Mordecai's execution. But before he could speak, the king asked, "What should be done for a man the king delights to honor?" Thinking the king meant him, Haman suggested a grand parade, dressing the man in royal robes and leading him on the king's horse. The king agreed and ordered Haman to do this for Mordecai. Haman obeyed in humiliation, leading his enemy through the streets in honor. That evening at Esther's second banquet, the king again asked for her request. Finally, Esther revealed, "O king, spare my life and the lives of my people. We have been sold to be destroyed." Shocked, the king asked, "Who would dare do such a thing?" Esther pointed to Haman, this vile enemy. The king, enraged, ordered Haman to be executed on the very gallows he had built for Mordecai. Then, the king issued a new decree allowing the Jews to defend themselves. On the appointed day, they overcame their enemies, and the people of Israel were saved. Because of Esther's bravery and faith in God, an entire nation was rescued. From then on, the Jews celebrated the festival of Purim, remembering how God had delivered them through a courageous queen who chose to stand for what was right. This story teaches us that God places us where we are for a purpose. Even when we are afraid, He gives us strength to stand up for what is right. Like Esther, we must trust in God and act with courage, knowing He is always with us. If you enjoyed this story, like and share this video. Subscribe for more Bible teachings.